Alright you guys, so we are back with another update on 90 Day Fiancé. This is going to be, I believe, season 11 that we're on. If you'd like to check out my video that I did recapping the very first 2 episodes, I will link it in the corner here. And in this one, we're basically going to be discussing the last 3 episodes. Without further ado, we're going to be going into it, but we're going to be going couple by couple as per usual. First, we got Stevie and Maddie. So in my previous video, I did mention that Maddie was coming all the way from Iran, but he also was mentioning that he was missing his family. So he is presenting that as like something that he's worried about to Stevie, but Stevie is not really taking it all too well. But regardless, Stevie finally introduces Maddie to her family and they seem to be gelling. You know, they feed him some good southern food. They start grilling him on some questions with regards to his beliefs and then also how he treats women. But he seems to be giving all the right answers. It's just a matter of the actions following suit when they do get married, or if they even make it to the altar for them to say yes. But it seems to be going well so far, okay? But Maddie also presents some concerns about Stevie's slight obsession, fascination with the woman's body, the female figure. She does a lot of like art and painting, and it's nice, it's pretty, but there's a lot of boobs. There's a lot of boobs all over the house, and he's just like, is this something that I should be concerned about? Because he's like, is it more than just a fascination in terms of painting them, or is it a matter of you being attracted to women, like you might be bisexual, like you like women also? So that's pretty much how far we get with them. And next we have Mark and Mina. So things aren't really off to a great start. Obviously we see that Mina, she's trying to get comfortable. She's trying, but at the same time she has to think about her son that's back in France because he wasn't able to get his passport in time for them to all go together. So he has to stay with one of her friends until he gets that sorted. But then also we have the issue with Mark's daughter kind of overstepping, in my opinion, okay? I'm just going to be for real. At one point I was thinking that she was just like a concerned daughter about Mina being like a gold digger, but that was just one concern. It was more so about them having more kids and him even having a child with her to begin with. It was already a problem in her mind. So eventually Mina, she goes with Mark to, I think it was North Carolina. They meet up with his daughter and I think it was her boyfriend or husband or something, and Mark tries to get them to talk. He tries to get his daughter and Mina to just have some time to themselves and just talk through some of their issues. But the problem is that Mark was already relaying a lot of the issues to Mina that his daughter had presented to him. But the thing is, he did it in a way where I don't think he was cognizant on how that back and forth between the two would cause a problem. He really should have just let them talk. Just say, you know, hey Mina, she does have some concerns about our relationship. She just wants to make sure that you're good and that you're a good match for me and all that. Like, she just has some questions. I think that's all he really had to say. But the fact that he was saying things like, oh, she has concerns about us having more kids, and it was just like, whoa. Number one, why are you even talking about stuff like that with your daughter? Like, that has to do with our relationship, not her. So it was like weird that he would even say that in the first place to her. But regardless, he did. And when they got to North Carolina, things just popped off, child. It popped off. The daughter's just like, it would have been great if you were his age and y'all didn't have any kids, but you know, you already have a kid. I feel like he should be with someone his age. And why are you having more kids? Like, you don't need any more kids. And I was just like, okay, but if that's what they choose to do, they can do that. You know, like, what? It's like, I understand where the daughter is coming from, but at the same time, it was like, girl, that's none of your business. If she's able to have more children and wants more children, Mark is probably gonna give that to her because that's his wife. He wants her to be happy. You can't tell your dad what to do with his life. I felt like she was overstepping as a child. I understand your concerns. I understand you want to make sure that he's not with a gold digger and that she's not using him for his money, but at the same time, that's your dad's decision. If he wants to get manipulated in that way, I don't think Mina is necessarily there for the money, but I think she likes nice things. I don't think she necessarily like trapped Mark, but at the same time, it did look that way, you know? So I'm still keeping an eye on her, but I don't I'm not getting the vibe that she's a gold digger. I think she likes the fact that he is financially secure and can also keep her secured. So I think that's fine. But yeah, she doesn't give me the vibe that she's like specifically there for his money and that's it. But regardless, I just think that the daughter overstepped. Yeah, you could give your 2 cents and say, I don't think it's wise to have any more kids because of your age. You can say that. That's fine. But at the same time, you can't tell your dad, don't have any more kids. Eventually, Mina's just like, I think you're a snake. I think you're trying to hinder my marriage. I just don't want you at my wedding. You're disinvited from my wedding. And that's when the daughter walks off. She tells her dad she's not staying for the rest of the little fun day that they had planned. And Mark is just like, dang, things really went left. I did not want it to go that way. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. It was like, Mark, you kind of instigated a lot of this. This is kind of your fault. But anyway, let's move on to our throuple. We got Matt, Amani, and Annie. So now that they are all in Mexico together, Annie is joining them on their trip. They're, I guess, trying to go down to go meet her family, meet Annie's family. And on the way down, they're like doing their little road trip. Annie, she reveals that her brother, or maybe even her entire family, believes that Amani is just a friend and that Matt is actually her boyfriend. And I'm just like, ooh, child. Because Amani is clearly the one that's way more interested in Annie, if I'm going to be real. Like, she probably was the one that was like, yeah, let's bring this third person in, is what I'm getting, considering she is bisexual. So that definitely took her for a loop, because she was like, girl, like, you're mainly here because of me. Matt is just like a tag along. It's the other way around, you know? Like what do you mean? Like, if anything, say to your family, like, I'm the girlfriend, and then say that Matt is like, you know, my buddy or your friend. I think that's going to be very interesting to try to explain further once they get there. But you could see that Amani was like, I take that kind of personally, because are you ashamed of me? What's happening? So when they get to the hotel, things try to get heated up, but we see that Amani is tired, or at least they explained that, because we didn't actually see that. But they said that Amani was tired, so Matt and Annie decide to take it upon themselves without asking permission, like Amani says later. They just went ahead and had sex with each other. Matt says nothing to Amani, but Annie reveals that to her the next day, that that's what they did. And Amani is just looking at Matt like, why didn't you say anything? There was clearly no ground rules set in this situation. So Matt, he relays that same sentiment, like, you didn't set any rules, you didn't say what I could and couldn't do, so I thought it was okay since we were all there. So the next night is when Amani's just like, yeah, I feel like you're gonna have to ask permission before you do stuff like that. It would make me feel better. So in my mind, I was like, does she also need to ask Matt for permission as well to have sex with Annie? It really brings me back to that same thought that I had in my last video, where I said that thruples never really seem to work, because you really have to deal with or balance the jealousy, because there will be times where you show a little too much attention to one person and not enough attention to the other, and it gets really chaotic really quickly. All I gotta say is good luck with that one. Next we got Gregory and Joan. Now we see that Joan is officially in America. She's coming from Uganda, and she's trying to make herself at home in Gregory's mom's house, which is where he currently lives, until he could get himself situated financially and they could have their own place. However, it's seeming to be a little bit more of a challenge for Joan, because she's just like, okay, there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you have no job. You also just turned down a job, we found out, when they were grocery shopping. It was a government job. And he was like, yeah, it just wasn't a right fit for me. And I'm like, wasn't the right fit for you? Gregory, can I call you Greg? You literally have a whole fiance. You're also trying to have a wedding. Like, did we forget all this? You're out here turning down jobs. Even if it's not like an amazing amount, at least it's a start. And you could see that Joan is getting emotional, because she's just like scared that this is not going to work out, because Gregory doesn't seem to be taking this all that serious. He has this fantasy in his head, you know, this dream about opening this bakery. And I'm like, that's nice and all. You could have dreams, you could have goals, that could be great to achieve, but you got to start somewhere. You need a job, you need money. We need to get out of your mom's house. It just seemed like he is just way too comfortable in that house that he doesn't really feel the need to do anything for himself. It was just, oh, that was really baffling in that moment. I would have definitely gotten emotional too. Like Joan, I would have cried my eyes out. And also we see that his mom is trying to control how long her showers can be. The heating bill is going to be expensive. The water bill is up there. And, you know, Gregory isn't making any contributions to those bills either because he doesn't have a job, at least with a consistent pay. So it's just like, oh, this is going to be a squeamish experience more than likely. But we also get some insight about Gregory with his friends when Joan goes to meet them for like dinner. His friend already kind of knows him as being this guy that's very comfortable. He has to be pushed and he's a dreamer basically. Like there's a lot of dreams, but there isn't a lot of actions behind it. And now you have a whole fiance that you need to take care of. She can't work yet. You're out here turning down jobs because it's not the right fit for you. Like his friend was basically me. Even he's worried like it's not gonna work out and she's just gonna leave him in the dust is basically what he said. And I was like, yeah, I definitely think that's what's gonna happen. Next we got Shekinah and Sarper, and we see that Sarper has finally told his family about him leaving to go to the US. They're very emotional about it, but they were like, you know, we're just gonna accept it because we can't really do anything about it. You're gonna leave and that's just that. So they leave Turkey and they land in LA. I think it was like a 13-hour flight or something like that. And shortly after they get out the airport, they head straight to Shekinah's friend to pick up her dogs. And the friend also had a cow in her house, like a pet cow. Sarper was very intrigued. He was ecstatic about it. But when they get to Shekinah's house is when things get very interesting because Shekinah's like, yeah, I'm a licensed esthetician and I work from home. So she has her whole setup downstairs. So they can't cook in the house because she doesn't like the smells. She doesn't want it to smell like food, even though they're in her kitchen. But anyway, everything that you can cook is already pre-made at the store. Just go buy it and we'll do that instead. Just pop it in the microwave. And I'm just like, but what if he wants to cook? Like, bizarre, but okay. And then number two, whenever she has customers come in or clients, he has to leave the house and go somewhere for probably several hours at a time because I'm sure she's gonna have customers back to back at some point. So it's just like, okay, well, where is he going to go? He has no job. He has no friends here yet. Like, where is he supposed to go? Who? Like, what? But the third thing was kind of weird to me because she was like, you know, I want to make sure my daughter likes you. My daughter has to like you or else this relationship isn't going to work. And I'm like, Shekinah, this is, first of all, this is your fiance. Okay? Y'all are set to get married. And on top of that, he's in the US on a visa because you brought him here. You already told his family that he was going to be leaving for quite some time until, you know, he got his papers straight. You made all these sacrifices and he made all these sacrifices, leaving his whole country and his family, coming to a foreign country. And now you're telling him like, oh yeah, if my daughter doesn't like you, then this isn't going to work. You're going to have to go back home. Okay, sis. Oh, okay. So I don't know how Sarper is going to navigate that, but it was just, I just don't understand that one. I'm really trying to figure out how come she doesn't have enough money to at least like move her practice or her business elsewhere, like get something small. If you have all this money to be traveling back and forth from LA to Turkey and even living in LA period, I feel like you should have some type of savings to go towards your business to like, you know, have it not in your house. Anyway, that's just me. Let's move on to Sean and Aaliyah. So they're back on the scene and we see that Aaliyah is going into the embassy to get her papers straight, to get the visa to come to the US so that she can actually, you know, marry Sean. However, we see that Aaliyah is kind of going back and forth in her head, trying to figure out like, do I go as Aaliyah, as myself, or do I go as Douglas, who I used to be? She decides at the end, like, I'm just gonna go in as myself, and she realizes that everybody in there was actually pretty nice to her, so it was like, okay, cool. After that, she relays the message to Sean that she is good to go. She's gonna be coming to the US. However, she is kind of worried about Sean because Sean, we see, is still having, you know, the relationships and all that stuff. Not relationships necessarily, but still having sex with other people. It's like an open relationship thing that she kind of sort of agreed to, but not really, because she didn't really know anything about it for most of it, but anyway. So Aaliyah is just like, would you even get married to me if, you know, we didn't have the whole 90-day thing? Like, would you still want to get married to me regardless? Like, I need to know. But Sean is kind of worried about it because of his kids. He was in a relationship with a woman previously. He had children with her, and now he's worried about his children reacting to Aaliyah, finding out he's in another relationship, not with a man anymore, but with a trans woman. And it's just like, how are they gonna take this? Because he probably didn't really say much to them about it. Also, when Aaliyah finally gets over there, she seems to be a little germophobic. Okay, and she wants everything to be super clean. Sean gives her a dog and they get to the house. Things seem to be going okay so far. However, Sean, I think, is trying to convince himself that he really loves Aaliyah and wants to remain in this relationship and wants to get married. But I think really and truly, like, he doesn't like the idea of her being Aaliyah. He prefers Douglas, and he just tried to convince himself that it's okay. I love this person. I think deep down he realizes, like, yeah, no, I can't do this. But we'll see how that goes. So lastly, we have Jessica and Juan. So Juan has now left his cruise life. He is leaving all that behind to go live in Wyoming with Jessica and their son, and also her 2 sons from her previous relationship. We see already that there's problems with them not having privacy because there's no doors, and I'm like, girl, get some doors. And also now he has to become a parent real quick, even though he didn't really have a dad in his life. He's trying to navigate that. Lastly, we have the issues with infidelity, and Jessica's friends, when they go out to eat, her friend presses him about cheating, and we see her starting to get emotional, and I felt like she was another person that was kind of overstepping, much like with the Mark and Mina situation. I feel like Mark's daughter overstepped, and I feel like Jessica's friend in this situation is definitely overstepping. Because, girl, why do you care so much about this man cheating? Like, I understand you as a friend, you probably want better for your friend because you love them so much. I get it. But at the same time, if your friend feels as though she worked that out with her partner, leave it alone. Why keep pushing the issue? Why try to make more problems where they seem to have resolved their issue? Like, if she wants to stay with that man, at the end of the day, that's on her. Okay, if he keeps cheating, that's on her. If she keeps accepting it, that's her decision. So Jessica, you know, she also reveals to her friend, and also in front of Juan, that she wasn't in the best place either, because she'd also been doing some things behind Juan's back, but apparently Juan didn't know anything about it, and now he's making that a pretty big deal. He is like, you know, I feel kind of hurt by that, because it's like, why didn't you say anything? And I'm just like, Juan, sir, I don't think you're in the best position to make any judgments or say anything about her doing anything. I'm just going to be for real here, okay? I think both of y'all are in the wrong. He was like, oh, you emotionally cheated on me because you had your ex at the house or something like that, or, you know, you were still talking to your ex. And I'm just like, yeah, I agree with you, but at the same time, you also had physical sex with somebody on that cruise that you were working on. So it's basically kind of like a tit for tat type of thing. I just think that moving forward, they just need to figure their ish out and make sure that they're both on the straight and narrow and on the same page. That's all I gotta say. But y'all let me know your thoughts on these last couple of episodes down in the comments. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.